So hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast on YouTube. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Plenty of Newcastle United content coming your way. Andrew Musgrove here. I do hope you've had a lovely Easter weekend. Happy Easter Monday. I hope you've had loads of Easter eggs and you've had a nice weekend. Today's video is all about Anthony Gordon. No doubt over the weekend you've seen the footage of Anthony Gordon leaving the pitch in Newcastle's 2-1 win against Brentford, substituted with a couple of minutes to go, and his reaction to leaving the turf was not overly pleasant. You guys have probably discussed it with your friends and family. Let me know in the comments what you think about Anthony Gordon's reaction to being subbed. Let me put the context in then. So Anthony Gordon comes on at half time. Eddie Howe being ruthless in his substitutions, taking off Jacob Murphy and Sean Longstaff for Anthony Gordon and Callum Wilson. Newcastle, of course, 1-0 down to Brentford at the interval. Lucky really not to be going down maybe 2-3 goals worse off. Ivan Toney had one ruled out for offside and then, of course, missed a penalty. Newcastle really dismal first half. So something needed to change. Eddie Howe makes the changes, and let's give credit where credit's due. Callum Wilson and Anthony Gordon played a huge part in Newcastle United securing all 3 points against Brentford. They changed the game. You know, Anthony Gordon was fast, direct, pacey. He really wanted to drive Newcastle United forward, and that's what we've seen of him in his cameos, and he impressed again. Just unfortunate that his second half performance was soured by his reaction to going off. The board goes up. Matt Ritchie's on the touchline waiting to come on. He puts his hands up to get the customary double high five as you do when you're being substituted on. And Anthony Gordon goes over and sort of slaps his hand. Not the nicest of high fives. And then you've no doubt seen the footage. You know, Eddie Howe goes over to him and Anthony Gordon pushes the manager's arm away. You can see Joe Willock as well. I think they may be a little bit shocked, trying to calm down Gordon. What do we make of it? Well, look, it's not a good look for Anthony Gordon. Doesn't come across well at all. But the first thing I think that needs to be said, it doesn't need to be blown out of proportion at all. It is, I think, a reaction in that moment. I think when he's had a few days to reflect on it, he'll realise it wasn't the best thing to do. He's no doubt already apologised to his manager and his teammates. If an apology is needed at all, I'm not really sure it is. It's just football. It's like after you've lost 5-0 and you shove a microphone in front of the captain and in front of the manager. You know, they're in a very emotional moment there and they can say things and do things that, you know, on reflection, they maybe wouldn't have done. So I'm not really sure an apology is needed. That said, we don't really want to see that from Anthony Gordon again, do we? I don't know. Tell me in the comments. Personally, I think you don't want to see it again. You know, one time is all right, and then you can kind of mould it, bottle it maybe, and make it a benefit for Newcastle United. You know, if you're Eddie Howe, and again, you've probably seen the pictures at full time of an arm around the shoulder. There's also Matt Ritchie as well in Anthony Gordon's ear at full time. No doubt, you know, just saying, can't be doing that, reassuring him, and just giving him kind of the guidance that an experienced pro like Matt Ritchie does. And that actually, first off, is absolutely fantastic to see. Matt Ritchie's not had that many minutes, but he's a fantastic leader, fantastic pro. And we're seeing that. We saw that in that moment. And it's great to see Newcastle have got a leader like him who is going to give Anthony Gordon his experience and his wealth of knowledge and just, you know, put an arm around the shoulder and just talk to him. Because I think in that moment, that's what Anthony Gordon needed, because he was probably feeling a little bit daft at his reaction. So good to see Matt Ritchie on hand to put an arm around the shoulder. But yeah, Anthony Gordon's reaction, I think it's important that Newcastle nip that in the bud. But like I say, they can use this to their advantage. And I'm sure that's what Eddie Howe is trying to do. He's probably gone to Anthony Gordon and said, all right, if you want to act like that, you show me this week, you put 110% in on that training pitch, and you show me you deserve to be in this starting 11. And there's no doubt Anthony Gordon has probably already been doing that in the week since he's joined. But there's an extra motivation now, I think, that Newcastle United can use and say, yeah, come on, okay, show me why that reaction is all right. And hey, Anthony Gordon will probably go and score the winner against Aston Villa on Saturday. I think from Anthony Gordon's point of view, look, big money signing from Everton, a lot of money, and he's come into this side, come into this squad, and it's been stop-start. I think he'll be frustrated that injuries have, halted him really getting a run of games in this Newcastle United squad. So when he's given an opportunity to come on and impress, as he was there at half-time, and then he's taken off and he doesn't last the full 45 minutes, then from his point of view, he will be frustrated. Look, no pro wants to be brought on and then taken off. No pro wants that at all. But you've got to accept that it's the manager's decision, it's the manager's choice, and then you've got to see that whatever decisions be made, it's going to be a benefit to the starting to the team. And Anthony Gordon didn't see that in that moment, but like I say, I think it's an emotional moment, and we can probably forgive him for reacting that way in that moment, and on reflection he'll realise it wasn't the best thing to do. But you ask Bruno Gomes, you ask Alan Shearer, no player wants to be substituted having come off the bench, just 43 minutes earlier. Nobody wants that. So we can look at it like that, and it is a shame because he really did impress, and he has impressed in those moments that we've seen him. We haven't seen a lot of him. And probably another reason he was so frustrated was because it's hard to get into this starting 11. Players are in front of him and they're performing well. Jacob Murphy's taken his opportunity. Ansett Maximin was on a great run of form before he picked up that injury. Miguel Almiron, he's got 11 goals this season. So it's hard enough to get into this starting 11 when you're fit, let alone when you're struggling with injuries. So he's going to be frustrated at that. There's just going to be frustration running through Anthony Gordon, really, that he's not had his chance to fully impress. And that would have led into him, in this reaction. And I think it's really quite interesting because I think what we're seeing is something I've talked about before on the Everything is Black and White podcast, the audio version. So if you haven't subscribed to that, go onto your Apple, your Spotify, wherever you listen to your audio podcast, and put in the Everything is Black and White podcast. We do a few shows a week. And on that, I've mentioned a few times about the dilemma that Newcastle United are going to have to face in the summer transfer window and the windows to come when they're improving the squad. And it's all about getting that balance between someone with top-class ability and the ego that comes with it. Because at this moment in time, Newcastle United don't have egos running wild through that dressing room. And the unity and the fact that they've got a lack of egos is, I think, a huge part of to why they're doing so well. It's quite magical. And it's quite rare in a top side as well. But if Newcastle want to be a consistent top side, they're going to face that dilemma. And when they go out and buy top quality players, and I mean top quality players, they're going to come with egos, they're going to come with a little bit of baggage, they're going to come with a little bit of attitude. And it's going to be more and more difficult for this transfer team who bring in the players, who scout the players, who make the decisions, Eddie Howe, Steve Nixon and the rest of them. It's going to be harder and harder to strike that balance. And somewhere down the road, you're more than likely going to have to make a bit of a sacrifice for that ability, where the ability is going to be so good and maybe the attitude isn't 100% brilliant. But if 7 out of 10 games they're knocking in goals, they're assisting, they're being one of the best players in the Premier League, and maybe for the rest of those 3 out of 10 they may be throwing their toys out the pram, is that a sacrifice you make? Can you see the bigger picture? It's going to be interesting. That is, though, going to be a dilemma they'll face. I point to Bruno Fernandes, we saw against Liverpool. He just had to come off when Man United were thumped. We saw against Newcastle when Man United were beaten, running around after the referee. Shameful. I don't like to see it. But, after the Liverpool game, he had 2 fantastic games. He's a top quality player, and that's the sort of balance I'm talking about. That's the sort of dilemma that Newcastle United are going to face in the windows to come. And it's kind of what we're seeing with Anthony Gordon. Look, Anthony Gordon's not on the level of Bruno Fernandes at all, but he's a good player, I tell you, and he's going to be instrumental to Newcastle's success in seasons to come. He's a good player. It's raw talent at the moment, but there was a top quality player in there, and I'm really looking forward to seeing him in years to come because he's going to be a central part of this team. And it's interesting though that we've seen a bit of this attitude rise up. You know, a lot of people mentioned this when he was first linked. Oh, you know, is he the right kind of character to bring into the dressing room? He's a bit spiky. I said, well, okay, but if it's in a black and white shirt, I'm all for it, as long as he's spiky to the opposition. Maybe we're starting to see, at least against Brentford, you know, that kind of attitude come to the surface, what a lot of people were worried about. But look, Newcastle United knew about this, the transfer team knew about this, Eddie Howe knew about this. It's probably not a big deal as some people thought it was at the time, or now. I don't think so. You know, and they would have had a plan to kind of react to it, to use it to Newcastle United's benefit. And as I mentioned earlier, Eddie Howe, I think, will see the benefit of Anthony Gordon's reaction. Say, come on then, prove to me why you should be in the starting 11. And that's what I'm hopeful is going to come out of it. So it's going to be interesting to see, not just over the next few weeks, but the next few years as well, just how far Anthony Gordon goes, and of course what Newcastle United do in the transfer market. But yeah, look, it's not a good look, but hey, don't hit Anthony Gordon. He just wants to play football. He just wants to be in that starting 11. And all I would say is, you know, next time maybe, you know, do it behind closed doors. Maybe, you know, do that sort of dissent and bad reaction in the dressing room away from the cameras. But you know, Eddie Howe's certainly not throwing him under the bus when he's been speaking to reporters. He said there's not a problem. He just explained the decision. He said he went down holding his ankle and he wanted to bring a more experienced player on. Fair enough. That's what you like to see. It's what you expect from Eddie Howe. He's never really going to call him out. Maybe he's had a word behind closed doors. I don't know. You would assume so, you know, kind of like say, enough of that. Let's not have that again kind of thing. And like I said, just go and prove to me that you deserve to be in this starting 11. But yeah, no, I don't think it's a big deal. And I think actually the reaction on social media has been quite interesting. For the large part, it's been, yeah, fantastic. He wants to play for this club. It's not the worst thing to see. I think we see it every week, then might be a different reaction. And I also think the fact that Newcastle United are doing so well has helped the reaction to it. You know, they were battling for relegation and they saw that. Then maybe the reaction will be slightly different. You'd want to, you know, he might have become a scapegoat, a target for negative reaction. But as is, Newcastle doing so well, and they've gone, okay, fans have gone, fair enough, you know, not brilliant, don't want to see it every week, but just wants to play for Newcastle United. So hopefully he can rise to the challenge. He can prove to Eddie Howe, prove to Newcastle United fans why, you know, he kicked off a little bit, why he deserves to be in this starting 11. And we'll all forget about this in a matter of days, let alone weeks. But yeah, this has been the Everything is Black and White podcast on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button, plenty more content coming your way. And head over to chroniclelive.co.uk for all the latest Newcastle United news.